Hey y'all! Pokemon Red using only one Abra was a bucket list challenge, so this week I'm going to use a Pokemon that's in the top percentage. I'm going to try to beat Pokemon Red using only one Rattata. As usual, the rules are we can only use one Rattata in battle, and I can't use any items in battle. By the way, if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and check out more of these videos on my channel. Rattata is about as basic as it gets. After all, it's a rat. You find them early in the game, and lots of the early route trainers use them. Heck, even the rival uses one for a few battles. It's even a meme in the Pokemon community that one of the weakest trainers in the Johto games brags about having a top percentage Rattata. Kinda seems like a daunting task then to take such a basic Pokemon and do an interesting challenge video with it, huh? Well, sign me up, baby cakes! And leave your comments now as to what you think the motif of this video will be. But until then, let's talk about the stats and the moves for this game. The move pool is pretty good, I guess. Great normal moves for a normal type, and we even get some great type coverage with water, ice, and electric moves. The only problem is that Rattata has terrible stats. Its best stat is speed at 72, but its HP and defense are in the 30s, and its special stat is a paltry 25. Thank goodness they only gave this thing 56 attack, because we wouldn't want it to be too good now, would we? Well, it can't be worse than last week with Abra, right? Right? Alright, let's do this. Off at Professor Oak's lab, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Squirtle with Rattata so that a rival will pick Bulbasaur. By the end of the run, the rival's Venusaur will know Razor Leaf, which will always critical hit, and since Rattata can get super effective coverage against all three starters, I figured the critical hit nature of Razor Leaf would be the most difficult thing for a rat to handle. Rattata is a toothy little rat that has a name which sounds like the beat of a drum, a top percentage Pokemon, and a real who's who. So I'd nickname ours Teeth Moon. That's right, folks, we're getting musical with this one. In this run, it's going to classic rock. Rattata starts off with Tackle and Tail Whip. The rival Bubs' Bulbasaur has Tackle as well, and while our defenses are lower, our Tackle does more damage thanks to the same type attack bonus to Tackle that we get for being a normal type. See, sometimes it pays to be normal. Reject expertise and embrace mediocrity. We easily defeat the rival Bubs in the lab, and so far, things are looking optimistic. But I have a sneaking suspicion the rest of the run is going to get much harder. And as you'll come to see, I'm not busting your chops, it's more than a feeling. Now normally this would be the part of the run where I give a long and labored diatribe about how awful the battle with Brock was using a Pokemon that only knows normal moves, but actually no. At level 14, Rattata learns Hyper Fang, which is actually one of the best normal moves in the game. It's 80 base power, so slightly weaker than Body Slam, but it also has a 10% chance to flinch the opponent. It's only 90% accurate, but when combined with Tail Whip to lower the opponent's defense stat, it actually starts to really rack up the damage. And we still take a decent amount from Geodude's Tackle, but the Onix gives us plenty of opportunities to rack up Tail Whips when it goes for Bide. And Bide won't actually damage us if we don't deal damage during the Bide window, so we can easily minimize Onix's defense and allow Hyper Fang to deal massive damage. Rattata was actually able to 3-hit KO each of Brock's rocks with Hyper Fang thanks to Tail Whip. And you might think that after all the trouble he's given us in the past, that this first gym would have given me a black heart, but in fact, I love Brock and Roll. After traversing Mount Moon, I make it to Cerulean City and take on the rival Bubs, and he can be really problematic for Rattata. Our best move, Hyper Fang, is already only 90% accurate, and Bubs' Pidgeotto loves to lower it even further with Sand Attack. It definitely helps that we're able to prevent a Sand Attack when we land a flinch with Hyper Fang, and that's really the only roadblock though, because once the beefy Budgie bites the bullet, Rattata beats down the rest of Bubs' Pokemon. Hyper Fang chomps the competition as long as there's no sand in our eyes, or as I like to call it, another one bites the dust. I can't quite beat Misty yet, so I head to the SS Sand for another battle with the rival Bubs. And on the ship, I picked up the TM for Body Slam and taught it to Rattata. It's slightly stronger than Hyper Fang and is more accurate, but I also keep Hyper Fang for the time being. There might be cases where we pick up a Paralysis with Body Slam and then want to use Hyper Fang to fish for a full Paralysis and or flinch. And yeah, it might seem cheap, but it's like my grandpappy used to say, if you're in a tight spot, there's no shame in Phil calling out for help. Sooty. Oh my god, that joke was terrible. I think we're finally strong enough to defeat Misty, so I backtrack to the Cerulean City gym. And even with the extra levels, we're still struggling. She uses X Defense to boost her Pokemon's defense, and her Water Gun and Bubble Beam prey upon Rattata's pitiful special stat. And it's not until an attempt where Starmie only uses Tackle that we're actually able to win. And that might seem kinda cheap, but if you think I care, you've got another thing coming. We've got bigger fish to fry, so Misty is the Judas Priest of my worries. With Misty's badge, we can now use Cut outside of battle, so it's time to take on Lieutenant Surge at the Vermilion City Gym. This battle should be pretty easy, since Surge's Pokemon have pretty low defense, and we've got Body Slam. Voltorb and Pikachu both go down in a single Body Slam, but the Raichu actually has the lug nuts to survive not just one Body Slam, but actually 2 Body Slams after it uses a Growl to lower our attack. No worries though, I'll just knock it out real quick. Oh no. Dang, Thunderbolt dropped our health faster than a Led Zeppelin. Well, that was dumb. I could have used Quick Attack to finish off the battle, but, I mean, that would have been the smart move. Okay, one more time, and this time Raichu goes for Thunder Shock, and we finish it off as Surge uses an X-Speed, despite already being faster. So it looks like I'm not the only idiot in town. In fact, if I'm the village idiot, then Surge is the mayor. He does give us the TM for Thunderbolt though, so now it's our turn to ride the lightning. After crawling through the dark and rock tunnel, I arrive in Lavender Town to take on the rival Bubs in the Pokemon Tower, and I'm not quite strong enough to do it yet, so let's go to Celadon City to take on Erica at the Grass Gym. And oh, would you look at that? We get completely wrecked by Razor Leaf. So glad I didn't willingly give that same move to the rival. After a few tries, Victory Bell forgoes Razor Leaf and uses Poison Powder, and we knock it out. Huzzah! Tangela goes down without doing too much, but Vileplume can still knock our socks off with Petal Dance. Body Slam paralyzes though, and after a full paralysis keeps us at full health, I decide to go for Hyper Fang for the flinch chance. Hey, look at that. Looks like Erica's plants just got Fleetwood smacked. But that's what she gets for trying to grow her own way. While I'm in town, I head over to the Celadon City Game Corner to beat up Giovanni in the Team Rocket hideout. He's got 2 rock and ground types, but unlike with Brock, I can 1-KO them with Water Gun. It's a TM that we got all the way back in Mount Moon. And honestly, the hardest part of this battle is deciding which move to replace for Super Fang. And this is a really cool move that when it hits, always deals half of the opponent's HP, rounded up to the nearest point. It's a really strong move, and helps to speed up knockouts against super bulky Pokemon. I also learned while researching this video that the Japanese name for this move is Fangs of Wrath. And I know technically steel types aren't in this game, but that's metal. With all of that out of the way, I head back to the Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town to finally defeat Debubs. The reason his team is so difficult is because he now has a Gyarados which knows Hydro Pump. And Gyarados actually has a 100 base special in this game, so that Hydro Pump demolishes Rattata. And even with the double super effective Thunderbolt, our special is so bad that Gyarados can actually survive and then return with a ton of damage. Thankfully, even if it does hit Hydro Pump, Bubs picks his Pokemon's moves at random, so they don't always go for their best moves, which is good because Rattata is so frail that any other move would be enough to knock it out. And it's kinda hard to imagine how Rattata is gonna handle the Elite Four if we're struggling this much early game against Bubs. But don't stop believing just yet. Now it's time to take on Koga at the Fuchsia City Gym. Beforehand, I replaced Water Gun with the TM for Dig that we got all the way back in Cerulean City. And this is the reason I never replaced Water Gun with the superior Bubble Beam TM that we got from Misty. Water Gun's only really needed for ground and rock types that are double weak to water, and their special is so bad that the 25 base power difference between the moves isn't really an issue. Dig, on the other hand, is a much better move than Bubble Beam for Rattata. It's as strong as Earthquake, uses Rattata's superior attack stat, plus it lets us dodge Weezing's self-destruct. And who knows? Had Weezing not gone all TNT, we Dynamite have had a harder time. Oh well, I guess we'll never get to ACDC how it would have gone otherwise. After beating Koga, it's time for yet another rival battle with Bubs in the Sylph Company building in Saffron City. And I expected this battle to be a lot more difficult than it actually was, but then again, I think it's mainly because we got good luck. At the beginning of the battle, Pudgeot lands a sand attack to lower our accuracy, but at no point during the rest of the battle did we actually miss a move. So all this sand attack did was boost our attack, defense, and speed. And for those that don't know, whenever your stats are modified in battle in this game, the boost to your stats from the badges are reapplied. Since we've got the Boulder, Thunder, and Soul badges, we get our attack, defense, and speed boosted. This effect goes away when the battle ends, or if we level up during the battle, so you've got to keep that in mind. And look, I know I've explained this like 60-something times already, and the long-time watchers are probably tired of hearing it, but I have to explain it for newer viewers. Like, come on. I get it. I understand. Jeez. I wasn't Ozzy Osbourne yesterday. After beating Bubs, I've got to take on Giovanni upstairs, but it's a Toto blowout, and I can't help but laugh-frica. I'd say Giovanni's a complete joke, but that's not true. He's more of a mildly amusing pun, like the ones in my videos. His Rhyhorn is harder to take down without Water Gun, but the Nidorino and Nidoqueen are definitely easier to defeat with Dig being super effective and a physical attack. Dig is also a fitting move for Rattata, since that's what I do with sick grooves. I dig them. See? I told you. Mildly amusing. Well, I guess it's time to head to the Cinnabar Island gym to take on the Fire Leader Blaine for yet another first try victory. Which is technically true, but we probably actually should have lost this one. Rattata is not very bulky, and if Blaine's Arcanine lands either a Fire Blast or Takedown, well, let's just say Rattata no likey. Growlithe and Ponyta go down in one hit, but Rapidash survives and lowers our attack with Growl. After that, Arcanine easily survives Dig, and lowers our attack even further with another Growl. Arcanine does a massive amount of damage with Takedown, confirming to me that Fire Blast would be a 1-hit KO, but Blaine Super Potions while we're underground, and then we critical hit a Dig to bring it low, and finish things off with a Body Slam as Arcanine misses yet another Fire Blast. And with Blaine defeated, we take our Volcano Badge from the ashes of his island gym, or as I like to call it, Smoke on the Water. Now that I have Blaine's Volcano Badge to boost our special, it's time to try to take on the Psychic Gym leader Sabrina at the Saffron City Gym. And okay, we've got a strong same-type attack boosted Body Slam against a team of Pokemon with low HP and defense. Seems like it should be easy, right? Well, Kadabra goes down easy, and Mr. Mime survives, but just gets knocked out on the follow-up. Venomoth does survive, and we mutually paralyze each other, which doesn't matter for the Venomoth, but it does let the Alakazam move first and one-shot us with Psybeam. Love that for us. Okay, a couple tries later, and even though we're still paralyzed, the Alakazam goes for Recover at full health, but Body Slam critical hits through Reflect, so I guess you could say Alakazam was shot through the heart. You're right. I give puns a bad name. Either way, we've won the battle, and I'm feeling bon jovial. Now it's time for the final showdown with Giovanni for our final gym badge. And considering Rattata's lackluster stats, I expected Giovanni's team of high base stat fully evolved Pokemon to give us a run for our money. But nah, this battle was super easy. Blizzard is the strongest ice move in the game, so it's a great way to knock out Rhyhorn despite our low special. Dugtrio has pretty terrible bulk as well, so Body Slam is able to take it down. But the Nidos actually have pretty good bulk, so it's really a toss-up between using Blizzard or Dig to take them down. But they waste their chances to finish us off, so as soon as the Rhydon comes out, it's all over, baby. Giovanni decides to not even try to fight back, and wastes his last chance to appear in this video using a Guard Spec. And with Giovanni defeated, Team Rocket is disbanded. So you won't be seeing that band of pirates unless you hire them to play a bar mitzvah. Oh, and I know some of you are saying, that's dumb, pirates can't sing. Well, joke's on you, nerd, because they're known for hitting the high seas. Oh, this is the dumbest joke, and I love it. Before we can take on the Elite Four, we have to battle the rival Bubs once again, and this one was actually pretty tricky. Rattata has gotten here at a pretty low level, but that was mostly through cheeky strategies and, well, sheer dumb luck. And the inequity between our stats and Bubs' team really shows here. Blizzard, the strongest Ice-type attack in the game, doesn't even 2-hit KO Bubs' Pudgeot, and I know we have a terrible special stat, but Body Slam doesn't even do that much despite our higher attack. Gyarados can also be a huge problem, since even the double super effective Thunderbolt doesn't want a KO. Plus, Dragon Rage doing over a third of our health is the best case scenario, since a Hydro Pump will probably just knock us out at this point. We also need Alakazam to use Reflect or Recover, since either Psychic or Psybeam will finish us off, and it's the same problem with the Venusaur. We needed to go for Poison Powder or Leech Seed. Razor Leaf will knock us out, and even Vine Whip does a ton of damage to our rat. I had to reset this bad boy a ton, since Bubs repeatedly wiped out my rat. But despite the difficulty, Rattata persevered and dealt Bubs a bubonic beatdown. Or as I like to call it, back in Black Plague. Before we take on the Elite Four, here are the stats and moves. Our speed stat is our best stat, and our attack is alright, but everything else is pretty terrible. We've got a super impressive moveset though. These are some of the most incredible moves in the game, and yet I have less confidence than someone trying to impress a girl with a super rad triangle solo. Theoretically, I suppose it's possible, but I have my concerns. Up first is Lorelei. Now, this is the point during a lot of these runs where I would replace one of our moves for Mimic, which lets us copy one of the opponent's moves. Mimic is the great equalizer for solo challenge runs. It's like Pokemon Jiu-Jitsu, using the strength of the opponent's superior Pokemon against them. Still, I wanted to see if I could beat Lorelei without Mimic, but even our super effective special attacks barely do any damage, and her Pokemon ruin our attack stat by lowering it with Growl. Dewgong goes to sleep with rest and can't attack for 2 turns, so I don't fear the sleeper, but after we beetle the walrus, Lorelei sends out her blue cloister cult, and I usually can't get past it. But even when I do, we're just not strong enough to make it past the Slowbro. So, yeah, I'm just gonna try this one again with Mimic and see how it goes. Okay, so I've replaced Blizzard with Mimic and try this battle once again. I'm not sure exactly, but this might have been a mistake to get rid of Blizzard, since it's the only ice move Rattata can learn. Then again, it's kind of an impossible choice. I'd replace Thunderbolt and then teach the TM for Thunder later, but I need an electric move now to get past Lorelei's mostly water-type Pokemon. We'll cross the bridge to that song later, but for now, we're able to get to the Slowbro and use Mimic to copy Amnesia. I even made sure to have just enough experience to level up right before the Slowbro so we don't lose our additional badge boost from Amnesia halfway through the battle. Plus, all of these growls from Slowbro might be tanking our attack stat, but it only serves to badge boost our special even further. Both Jinx and Lapras managed to survive even a fully boosted Thunderbolt, but neither one actually does anything, so we managed to win despite our health being so low that we're knocking on heaven's door. With Lorelei defeated, it's time to take on Bruno. We just leveled up against the Lapras, so I think we're safe to badge boost during the battle, and hopefully we don't level up, so no need to use a rare candy right now. That's hard to say though, since Rattata does have a tendency to level up during battles, sometimes even multiple times. When the battle with Bruno starts, I use Mimic to copy Harden, obviously for the additional badge boost to attack and special, but the higher defense will actually help to withstand Bruno's team of physical attackers. And now it's time to cross that bridge we were talking about, because our best move to fight this defense-boosting Onix is the physical move Dig. And even without badge boost, Blizzard would have easily knocked it out in a single hit. But what are you gonna do? In hindsight, I suppose I could have replaced Body Slam with Mimic, so I could have kept both Blizzard and Thunderbolt, but that would create other issues, so that's a totally different bridge. And wow, so many bridges in this episode. Despite our badge boost, Hitmonchan survives a Body Slam, and thankfully it doesn't go for counter, which would have actually knocked us out. Hitmonlee doesn't survive Body Slam, thankfully, but the second Onix is once again a multiple turn fiasco, fighting it with the 2-turn move Dig. Machamp comes out, and even with 6 additional badge boosts to attack, Rattata's Body Slam only does a little over half. And despite having quadruple the normal defense stat, Machamp still knocks out Rattata with submission. Dang! Bruno beat us so hard I think I might have daddy issues now. Or as I like to call it, rats in the cradle. My heart is broken, but there's no reason to be Tom Petty, so I just try the battle again. I snagged an extra level to help with the damage range against the Hitmonchan to avoid counter, and this time, when we get to the Machamp, it goes for Fissure, which cannot hit us because we're faster. And Rattata closes out a surprisingly difficult Bruno battle. And, wow. It's not often that Bruno is a problem, huh? But then again, you know what they say. Ratterday Night's alright for fighting types. Now it's time for the Elite Four member Agatha, who is such a crick in the neck. None of her Pokemon have a move we can mimic to set up badge boost with, so our best option is to just try to barrel through her Pokemon with her strongest moves possible. But this is really difficult to do. Dig is our best move for her ghosts who are immune to body slam, but it takes 2 turns to hit and she loves to randomly switch into her flying type Golbat, which is immune to Dig. Plus all of her Pokemon spam super annoying status moves, and half the time we knock ourselves out with confusion. Or as I like to call it, Rat Scratch Fever! Holy diver, Batman! I had to try this battle so many friggin' times before I managed to make any headway. The major roadblock is just getting past the Golbat, because once it's out of the way, we can use Dig with impunity, but that's hard enough to do, and even harder when the Golbat removes our intended badge boost with the move Haze. Great, now we're doing even less damage. Thankfully, even without that badge boost, we managed to one-hit KO the Haunter with Dig, and her Arbok and last Gengar are 2-hit KOs with Dig. I lost repeatedly to Arbok paralyzing us with Glare and us getting fully paralyzed multiple times, but eventually, I got this attempt where Arbok misses several glares, and rather than using Nightshade, her Gengar repeatedly goes for Toxic, which I wouldn't mind if it hit anyways. But my god, Agatha sucks! Hate her! So sick of it! So glad to be done with this battle, and as far as I'm concerned, Agatha can take a one-way trip down the highway to hello to the final Elite Four member Lance the Dragon Master. Well, time to cross that bridge again. This is the battle where I really regretted deleting Blizzard. Even without badge boost, it's a good move for all of his dragon types, and especially the dragon and flying type Dragonite, which is double weak to it. Well, enough bloviating, let me just show you how this one went. Thunderbolt, despite being double super effective against it, is not even a 2-hit KO without Gyarados' Leer badge boosting our special. And it's not as though that's a good thing too, since the defense drop makes it even harder to withstand Lance's attacks. I tried this battle many times while mimicking Hyper Beam from the Dragonair, since it's the strongest normal move we can use, but even with the badge boost and same type attack bonus, it's not enough to take out the Dragonair, and that's not even one of Lance's good Pokemon. Oh, wish we still had Blizzard. But after all, it was an honest mistake. So I'll try not to take it to heart. After all, no point in Barracuda Shuda Wuda. So I definitely think badge boosts are the way to go here, which means we have to somehow get past the Gyarados, and then survive 4 additional turns against the Dragonair while we mimic and set up 3 agility. But this is easier said than done, and in fact, it wasn't even possible until I employed the move Substitute. Substitute cuts a quarter of your HP and then creates a substitute with that same HP deducted to take attacks for you. And think of it like a band replacing the lead singer with someone just as talented, but the fans aren't as keen on the newbie, so they all flock to attack him. So basically, it's the Sammy Hagar of Pokemon moves. Back to the plot. A quarter of our health is a lot, but it's a lot less than what a Hyper Beam or Hydro Pump would do. Substitutes also block status dropping moves like Leer, which is good for our defense stat, but, bad for snagging additional badge boost. I did use some rare candies just to guarantee Thunderbolt would be a 2-hit KO against the Gyarados without a Leer badge boost, and once the Dragonair comes out, the real challenge begins. We need to survive 4 turns to get all 3 agility set up, and while Dragonair could break our substitute, we can set up 2 more just in case. It's unfortunate that we don't have an odd amount of HP, since this would let us set up 4 substitutes without fainting instead of 3, but it's fine really. This strategy is super finicky, and it fails a lot. Until eventually, I get an attempt where the opposing Dragonairs both never go for Dragon Rage, never hit a Slam or Hyper Beam, and repeatedly spam agility instead of attacking. This means we get to the Aerodactyl with a substitute intact, which completely blocks the effects of Supersonic, and then the Dragonite at the end boosts its defense with Barrier instead of actually attacking us. Somehow, and I can't believe it, Rattata managed to win this really difficult battle without Blizzard, and the only damage it took was self-inflicted. At the end of the day, it might have felt like a foreigner concept, but we never actually needed to be cold as ice to beat Lance's Dragons. Finally, it's time to take on the champion, our rival Bubs. I heal up, adjust our PP, and use rare candies to top off our level. We head into the battle at level 6-6, which is appropriate because we're going to need the Devil's Own luck to make it through this one. And listen, I don't want to sound like a drama queen, but I am under pressure. Right away, the Pudgeot comes out and I try to set up a substitute, since I know there's only a 50% chance it will actually attack us. Mirror Move can copy our substitute, but that's fine with me since it succeeds in depleting Pudgeot's HP. As long as we can get to the Alakazam with a substitute intact, we stand a chance of winning this battle. I then use Mimic to copy Recover, so now we can set up way more than just 3 substitutes. A Body Slam critical hit takes out the Psychic Fox even through Reflect, and then Rhydon comes out, and I'm instantly filled with regret. My only move to damage this thing is Body Slam, which it resists and takes barely any damage. So much so that I'm worried about not having enough BP to finish the battle. Substitute prevents Leer and Tail Whip from lowering our defense stat, and once Body Slam picks up a Paralysis, the Rhydon only has a 22% chance of actually breaking our substitute with a Fury Attack or Stomp on any given turn. So this takes a while, but it's pretty consistent. The Arcanine, on the other hand, is a real butt. It repeatedly breaks our substitutes with Ember and Takedown, and unfortunately in this game, Takedown doesn't deal recoil damage when used against a substitute, so Takedown won't wear down the Arcanine from repeated usage. No, it just serves to get on my nerves and prolong the battle. After what feels like forever, or the length of a single listen of Bohemian Rhapsody, we finally managed to make it past the Arcanine, and with both full health and a substitute for the Venusaur. As soon as the Dorkosaurus goes for Solar Beam, I know that we've won the battle. Rattata even ends the battle early by landing a critical hit Body Slam. So, no encore? And with that, the challenge is over. That was a pretty tough one. Rattata is pretty weak and needs all the firepower it can get. And when we got to Lance without Blizzard, I thought, Van, no way in Halen we're gonna win this. But Rattata proved me wrong. Turns out, there are multiple ways to complete this challenge, which just goes to show that you can have it any way you want it, if rat's the way you need it. As always, I want to thank you all for making it to the end of this video. These videos are a lot of fun, but also a lot of work, so I really do appreciate it. There's a playlist on my channel where you can check out the rest of my Pokemon Challenge videos if you want to see those as well. And if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you'll know right away the next time one of these episodes is uploaded. And if you want early access to these videos and to have your name listed in the credits, consider becoming a member or by joining on Patreon. And let me know in the comments what other Pokemon you want to see, and I'll probably do it. Next week, I'm going to try to beat Pokemon Crystal using only one Hoot Hoot. Should be a real Hootie and the Blowfish. Alright, time to journey our separate ways, so until next time,